He pretended to sleep on the leather couch, but his mind stayed sharp, measuring loyalty inside a house built on silent fear. The city lights reflected across the glass walls, while hidden losses drained his empire faster than anyone dared admit. Before we dive in, let us know in the comments, what time is it and where are you watching from? Let's start. Across the room, the maid worked quietly, unaware she was part of a test designed to expose truth behind polished wealth. He believed money revealed character, yet tonight he wanted proof that integrity could exist without power or recognition. His company was collapsing slowly, partners betraying contracts, accounts bleeding quietly behind carefully staged success. The maid noticed documents scattered near the laptop, numbers glowing sharply against darkness like a silent warning. She hesitated, knowing boundaries mattered, yet responsibility whispered louder than fear of losing her only job. The billionaire watched through half-closed eyes, expecting indifference, expecting silence, expecting survival instincts only. But something unexpected unfolded, something no financial report or executive meeting had prepared him to witness. She studied the figures, recognizing patterns from past experience no one imagined she possessed quietly within. In that silent room, a decision formed that would soon challenge power, pride, and the meaning of trust itself. She moved closer to the laptop, breathing steady, scanning numbers that told a story of silent collapse and hidden betrayal. The screen displayed transactions repeating in strange intervals, patterns too precise to be coincidence or simple error. Her hands paused above the keyboard, conflict rising between duty to rules and duty to what was clearly wrong here. Behind closed eyes, he watched her reflection in glass, expecting retreat, expecting fear to defeat quiet courage again. Instead, she opened a file backup, searching records carefully, as if protecting something larger than her own position. Months of falsified projections appeared, losses disguised, signatures altered with precision only insiders could manage. Her expression hardened, not with anger, but with responsibility, shaped by memories of a family ruined by greed once. She whispered to herself that silence can destroy faster than truth, even when truth threatens survival and safety. The billionaire felt tension rise, realizing this test had awakened consequences he could no longer fully control tonight. She began documenting evidence, hands steady, aware discovery could end her livelihood within a single unforgiving moment. Outside, distant thunder echoed softly, as if the city itself anticipated a revelation powerful enough to shake fortunes. In that fragile silence, loyalty transformed into action, and the fate of an empire shifted without anyone speaking aloud. She copied transaction logs carefully, naming files with dates, building a trail no executive could erase or deny later. Her pulse quickened as she traced transfers leading to shell vendors linked quietly to a trusted senior partner inside. The revelation carried weight, exposing betrayal not from rivals, but from someone who sat closest to power daily. On the couch, his breathing remained slow, yet doubt pierced pride, forcing him to question his own judgment deeply. She checked compliance folders next, discovering warnings ignored deliberately, signatures approved despite clear risk flags. Memories of her father losing everything to corporate deceit hardened her resolve to stop another silent destruction here. She placed a note beside the laptop, simple and direct, stating truth deserves protection even when voices stay unheard. Her choice crossed a line, yet conscience demanded action stronger than fear of humiliation or sudden dismissal tonight. He sensed the moment turning irreversible, realizing trust cannot be tested without risking truth that changes everything. She secured copies onto a drive, intending to report anonymously before morning exposed deeper fractures inside leadership. The night deepened around them, carrying tension thick enough to reshape futures built on illusion and control alone. What began as observation became intervention, and unseen consequences prepared to confront a man who trusted wealth blindly. She closed the laptop halfway, leaving evidence visible, ensuring discovery would feel inevitable rather than forced by accusation. Her hands trembled slightly, not from fear alone, but from knowing truth can shatter lives before it rebuilds them stronger. On the couch, his heartbeat changed rhythm, sensing integrity where he had predicted only silent obedience would appear tonight. She cleaned the table carefully, restoring order, yet her eyes carried a weight no routine duty could conceal anymore. A faint notification blinked on screen, another transfer scheduled, confirming the leak draining value from the company steadily. She wrote one final line on the note, saying, "Loyalty protects people, not secrets that destroy them from within slowly." The billionaire's pride struggled quietly, realizing wealth had blinded him to voices standing closest to honest reality daily. He questioned every partnership, every handshake, every smile that once symbolized success, now stained by quiet deception. She stepped back from the desk, choosing accountability over safety, accepting whatever consequence awaited her decision ahead. In that moment, power shifted silently, not through authority, but through courage chosen without audience or reward offered. The room held a heavy stillness, as if truth itself had entered, demanding recognition from a man unready to face it. Outside, dawn approached slowly, carrying a reckoning that would expose more than financial loss by morning light. Dawn's first light touched the glass walls, revealing a man awake in silence, confronting truth he could no longer ignore now. He rose slowly from the couch, reading the note twice, feeling weight of every unnoticed warning pressing inward sharply. Across the room, she prepared to leave quietly, unaware the test had already transformed into a reckoning for him. He called her name calmly, voice steady yet unfamiliar, no longer shielded by authority or distant superiority anymore. She froze mid-step, expecting dismissal, but instead faced a question asking why she chose risk over personal safety. Her answer came simple and firm, saying, "Companies are built by trust, and collapse when silence becomes protection for lies." He listened without interruption, recognizing sincerity no contract could purchase, and no strategy could manufacture convincingly. She handed the drive forward, offering evidence not as accusation, but as responsibility shared by anyone who sees truth. In her eyes he saw reflection of leadership he had forgotten, leadership grounded in accountability rather than dominance alone. He realized the empire's greatest weakness was distance from honest voices, working quietly beyond boardroom walls every day. That morning marked a shift, not in wealth alone, but in understanding what truly sustains power through difficult seasons. Yet, deeper betrayal still remained hidden, waiting to challenge whether redemption could survive confrontation ahead. He summoned the senior partner quietly, masking urgency beneath calm authority, refined through years of command and control. The man arrived confident, unaware that numbers once hidden now stood exposed between truth and consequence awaiting him. Documents were placed gently on the table, evidence arranged with precision that left no space for denial or delay. The partner smiled at first, then faltered, recognizing patterns only the guilty could identify within seconds of viewing. Silence stretched heavy, carrying weight of decisions that had drained livelihoods while disguising greed as strategy for growth. She stood near the doorway, unseen witness to a confrontation reshaping power without raised voices or dramatic gestures. The billionaire spoke slowly, asking not for explanation, but for honesty, denied repeatedly across months of deception. Excuses emerged quickly, yet each collapsed against facts recorded carefully by someone never meant to be noticed here. He realized accountability demands courage equal to ambition. Otherwise, success becomes merely an elegant disguise for failure. The partner's confidence dissolved fully. Understanding loyalty once broken rarely returns even when forgiveness is offered later. In that decisive moment, authority changed direction, guided by truth revealed through unexpected integrity and quiet resolve. The company's future trembled between collapse and renewal, balanced upon consequences now impossible to avoid or postpone. The dismissal was signed without anger, only resolve, ending influence that once stood unquestioned within every decision made. News spread quietly through corridors, not as scandal, but as a shift toward accountability, long absent from leadership culture. She returned to her duties, unchanged in routine, yet her action had redirected a future no executive foresaw earlier. He reviewed operations personally, meeting employees directly, listening to voices previously distant behind titles and protocol. Trust began rebuilding slowly, not through announcements, but through consistent choices reflecting responsibility over reputation alone. Financial losses stabilized gradually, evidence guiding reforms that protected workers and restored confidence within fragile markets. He acknowledged publicly that integrity from any role can preserve institutions when power forgets its purpose entirely. She avoided attention, believing duty requires no spotlight, yet respect followed quietly wherever her presence appeared daily. The mansion felt different now, less a fortress of wealth, more a place where truth could exist without permission granted. He understood leadership begins with listening, especially to those whose voices rarely reach rooms where decisions are signed. What began as a test of loyalty became a lesson in humility, shaping direction of an empire reborn through conscience. But redemption demands continuation, and final proof would appear when gratitude met responsibility beyond words spoken. He announced reforms company-wide, crediting an unnamed employee whose integrity prevented irreversible financial collapse. She listened quietly from the back, not seeking recognition, only relief that truth had finally reshaped decisions meaningfully. He approached her later with respect, offering advancement, yet she chose dignity in work rather than position or title. Gratitude replaced suspicion within him. Understanding trust grows when power acknowledges those who protect it sincerely. The company regained stability step by step, guided by transparency that once seemed risky but proved essential for survival. He no longer tested loyalty through doubt, but nurtured it through fairness, accountability, and presence in every decision. She returned home that evening carrying peace, knowing courage can influence futures without applause or public praise. Their paths differed, yet a silent bond remained, built not by status, but by shared responsibility for truth revealed. The mansion lights no longer masked fear, but reflected a leader changed by humility, discovered in unexpected silence. What began as suspicion ended as redemption, proving character emerges strongest when no one believes it is being seen. In every ledger thereafter, honesty became policy, and trust transformed from risk into the company's greatest strength. The story ends here, but the mystery lives on. Like, subscribe, and return for the next unforgettable journey.